What's up, everybody? Good early morning. I usually don't post videos this early, but the Seahawks play an early game today, and I want to go ahead and get this stuff out a decent amount of time before kickoff. If I post this at 9, then you've got kickoff at 10. A lot of people already starting to get their game face on by that time. Some people are going to be at the game, so I'm going to go ahead and push this out now and at least give a little bit of time for it to sit. So we got some news from both teams, and I want to go over it real quick. Some stuff that wasn't apparent as of the posting of the pregame video or the Friday injury report. First, Coby Bryant. Coby Bryant has been placed on injured reserve. This happened yesterday afternoon. I'm not super surprised, but I will say this. Carroll said he was close, and then this happens. This is the kind of stuff that makes you scared when it comes to Abe Lucas, right? Because the indication from Carroll is that Abe Lucas is close. So Pete tells us that Coby's close, and then suddenly, oh no, Coby's on injured reserve. See him in a month, maybe. And the way Greg Bell puts it, I think, is illuminating. The toe injury is not improving. And that can happen at any time with any injury, for the most part, right? Like, we see it with hamstring injuries frequently, but it can happen with other injuries as well. So Coby Bryant going to miss at least the next 4 games. I don't think this is retroactive. If it is, then that obviously makes things a lot more binary. Then he's just going to miss this game and the next game, and then he could come back. But either way, Coby's not really playing that well this year. I don't think people are going to be too torn up about this. So I'm not going to sit here and act like this is some huge deal that's going to completely change our defense or our team. Artie Burns seems like the guy who's going to get back sooner. We had one practice squad elevation for this game, Cody Thompson. So Cody Thompson being elevated isn't super interesting. He's probably going to play a couple of snaps like he always does. He's going to play special teams. We did not elevate Jason Peters. So that means Jason Peters cannot play. He is literally not eligible to play. He was not elevated, so that's going to disappoint some people because I think some people were excited to maybe see him. We know Damian Lewis is inactive. Excuse me, doubtful. We don't know if he's inactive yet, but I think we all know he's unlikely to be active. If I had to guess, he will hit that inactive list later this morning. So we are going to lean heavily on Phil Haynes to be able to hold up this whole game. Probably going to need a little Ben Brown. Might end up needing to call on Anthony Bradford. Evan Brown might have to bump around this line a little bit. It's still a little uncomfortable with where we are right now with the interior offensive line. Luckily, we got Cross, but it's not like Stone Forsythe can bump inside. That's not going to work. You try to do that, and his height is just going to kill him. He's not going to be able to do it. It's going to be ugly. So Stone Forsythe, you can't just bump him into guard and think, okay, we're cool now. No. So still got some issues on the interior offensive line. Definitely disappointing that Peters can't go because at this point, if he can't go now, there's a decent decent chance that he's just not going to be able to go at all this year because next week we might get Abe Lucas back and then his opportunities are just going to be really, really diminished. So, too bad. I mean, it was great of him to come here, great of him to be part of this, great of him to try to help us out in our hour of need, but doesn't look like it's actually going to transpire in terms of him getting on the actual field. Now, one angle that some people have brought up that I think would be cool, and maybe this happened behind the scenes and we just don't see it. What if Jason Peters has an Adrian Peterson-like effect on Cross or Lucas the way Adrian Peterson affected Rashad Penny? Because you remember, Rashad Penny was a different player after his Adrian Peterson stint in Seattle, and he said the leadership, the guidance, the mentorship that Adrian Peterson offered me when he was here helped change my career. Now, he still gets hurt too much, but he has been a much better player, and he's had some very big games, and he's looked like a franchise back at points. You can't really say he looked like he was much more than just a decent player before then. So if Jason Peters had that effect on Cross and Lucas, or even just one of them, that's obviously going to be very useful, and you hear stories about things like that. But it doesn't seem like Peters is going to get on the field for us. Too bad. But that's all the Seahawks news. Yeah, Nothing hugely impactful on this game. I just wish we could have seen Peters suit up for the Seahawks at least once, and we still could. He can play inside if we really need it. One bit of news on the Bengals side is T. Higgins expected to play, which, given how much he practiced this week, I think that was pretty much expected. So T. Higgins looks like he is going to go. So the Bengals are going to have all their receivers. Now, Higgins may not be 100%, but I don't think the Bengals would force him out there out of desperation because they feel like they have to have him to win this game. So I'm sure he's close. So we're getting T. Higgins. And also, we got this. This isn't really like strictly news, but I do want to post this just to illustrate why I say what I say, because I had a lot of people tell me in my post game or pregame video yesterday, "Oh, the Bengals are no good. They're 2-3. Why do you think Joe Burrow's back? Because he played one game." It's not just the one game. It's stuff like this, guys. This is from Kleiman on X. This is the first time this week Joe Burrow was able to run sprints in practice. So that should be indicative of where he is physically. This is what I'm talking about when I say it's hard for me to take those first 4 Bengals games seriously because Burrow was not right. He was playing like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He was playing kind of like current Ryan Fitzpatrick, like the guy who's doing NFL Network announcing and or Amazon Prime announcing or whatever he's doing. Like, he's a completely different guy now, and stuff like this should really do a good job illustrating it. First time this year he's been able to run sprints in practice. He wasn't even able to do that last week, and he looked pretty much all the way back after the in that Cardinals game. So I'm serious, guys. Joe Burrow was so different in those first 4 games for the Bengals. It would not be inaccurate to say they didn't even have Joe Burrow for those games. They had, like I said, they had Ryan Fitzpatrick. They had current Drew Bledsoe. They had current Johnny Unitas. They had current Joe Namath. Like, it's just such a radical difference. So, if the way he played last week didn't convince you, then maybe something like this will. Physically, he is a different person. And that is why I say I'm not taking this game lightly. I'm not taking Joe Burrow lightly. I think that this is a very good team that poses a very strong challenge to us. And I think that should be understood. And you guys know, I don't say that for every opponent. I sure as hell was not saying that for the Rams, wasn't saying it for the Panthers, wasn't saying it for the Giants. This is a different animal. All right, that's your last minute game notes. Coby Bryant goes to IR for presumably the next month at least. We've got Jason Peters not active, and Cody Thompson is active from the practice squad, and T. Higgins expected to play. See you guys after the game's over. There's going to be a post-game video, post-game stream, probably at the usual time, but we'll see. Maybe I'll do it a little earlier today. And yeah, go Hawks, get this win, go to 4-1, make everyone in the NFL believers.